Hey guys, it's me Tilly, and I'm back with another solo video. So I'm re-recording this for like the 5th time, because every time I am recording it, it tends to be like 20 minutes long, and I don't want it to be 20 minutes long, so I will try my best to speedrun today's video. Today's video, by the way, if you didn't read the title or the thumbnail or whatever, for any reason I guess, will be about the alpha. I actually got invited, and today will be my player perspective on the game. There's not gonna be any guides yet, there's not gonna be any need to know tips and tricks, it's just my experience, what I noticed playing through it. I'll briefly talk about the leveling process, mostly actually, like that's most of the video, because that's most what I've done so far. And then what awaits you once you're max level, I'll talk about some pros and cons that I've come across, briefly about the shop, and yeah, stuff like that. Before I get started, I should say, as a disclaimer, I'm not allowed to show any in-game footage. So all of the trailers, all of the pictures that I've showed previously will have to do for today's video again until I am able to show in-game footage, where I'll also start doing guides and things you need to know about the game actually. So let's get into it, the leveling process. It starts actually kind of slow with you just having to walk and talk, not doing as much killing. And it's a theme that kind of goes throughout the entire leveling process, the entire story, where I want to say killing enemies versus walking and talking is like 50-50 for all of you story fanatics. I think that's pretty cool because there's a bunch of story. For somebody like me who likes to speedrun the leveling, it's also cool because I just get to skip conversations and get free EXP that way. The quests are actually kind of cool in a case where there's not too many. I don't like MMOs that give me like one main quest and 10 side quests at the same time, and I have to map my self away through the different quests, trying to optimize the path or whatever. You have like 3 quests at most at a time. The quest indicators are on point, showcasing you exactly where you need to go next, so there's not gonna be any body who will get lost on the map because they don't know where to go. That's pretty cool. You actually also get your first mount after like 10 minutes of playing, so very early on. I think even before I was able to check the shop out, I already had a mount which is capable of flying right away. So just getting across maps is pretty easy from the get-go. What I really liked as well is like the double, later triple jump you have, the ability to sprint, not just doing your regular MMO like walking that takes forever to get you to places, which made the entire leveling process actually pretty fun and fast, to be honest. I think you are actually able to one-seed the leveling process later on in like 12 to 15 hours if you really just speedrun it. Right now, however, on the alpha, there are some level gaps. I think there's 3 of them, 24 to 25, 33 to 34, 36 to 37, which by the way is the max level. Talk about that in a second. By level gaps, I mean you had to get to the next level to continue the main story. So you were locked out of questing by like just some EXP. We just grinded a dungeon to get the EXP, but from what I've been told, there will be more dungeon quests and stuff like that later. So stuff like that doesn't happen. Even if it happens, by the way, it's not the end of the world. It's not a game breaker, I want to say. It's manageable. Like, it was okay. Like, I didn't hate my life too much playing through the same dungeon like 5 times to grind the EXP. One thing that I also liked while doing quests is the aggro range of enemies is not too big, so sometimes you can just collect whatever it is you need to collect for a quest in order to complete it without having to kill every single enemy that's guarding these things, so that is pretty cool. And yeah, leveling process, as I said. 37 is the max level, but not really 37, it's kind of weird. Once you get level 36 and max out your EXP bar again, you unlock a quest that lets you kind of prestige, advance, ascend, whatever it is that you want to call. You'll get a new rank, and then you basically start on level 1 again. But long story short, 37 max level. later levels also didn't take much longer than the early levels. Like, obviously the very first, like 5 levels, you get like 1 level per minute. But even later on, 35 to 36 didn't take me much longer than like 15 minutes, I want to say. Like, it was still fairly fast, which, as I said, kind of cool to get through the leveling process soon, because once you're level 37, once you're max level, like a bunch of things unlock. You're able to do the dungeons, you're able to do PvP, you're able to do this and that, and housing, and all of the different contents. And I didn't get to read through everything yet because of how much it is. It's actually pretty crazy. There's only one example I want to give you guys today about endgame content, and it's the dungeons. As I said, sadly no in-game footage yet, but we managed, and by we I mean me plus 4 other players. There are currently 5 max level players on the EU alpha, and we gathered and we tried to tackle the first dungeon, and we managed to do it. So dungeons are usually made for 4 to 10 players. I think the HP is not scaling, so I think it's always scaled to 10 players, because as a 5-man stack, all of us were playing DPS in true MMORPG fashion. Even if as a 5 stack of DPS, it took us like a minute to clear like 1 trash pull. It took a while. Like, they don't hurt much. Like, DPS players might be able to tank trash. For the bosses, no way. If you don't have a tank, you get wrecked. We tried it once without a tank, and yeah, the try didn't last very long. So one of our mates was kind enough to actually switch to their tank spec to allow us to actually tackle the bosses. Then there's the issue with a healer, which is not as much of an issue, to be honest, because you are allowed to bring companions with you, both in the solo dungeons as well as in the group dungeons. Solo dungeons, I should mention that while leveling, you get quests for dungeons. And those dungeons you can do in a solo difficulty. So you're actually able to complete it by yourself, thus getting the EXP, which will help you level, which is cool. These solo mode dungeons allow you to bring companions for tanking, healing, damaging, whatever it is. And same companions can be brought in those late game dungeons. They're obviously not as effective as players. I would rather have a player playing a healer so they don't face tank every AoE, dying in like a minute and causing a wipe. But hey, if you don't have one at hand, if you're literally like us, if you have like 5 DPS players, you could, I guess, get a tank companion, a heal companion, and try it anyway. There was like some sort of an RNG factor in there, whether the AI would die to the AoEs or not. If it did, it was a wipe, we had to try again. If it didn't, hey, we got through the dungeon even without a healer in the party, so that's pretty pog. As for the loot, it's personal loot, so everybody or somebody opens the chests and then loot pops out for you if you get loot. Opening 4 chests, 3 for every boss and 1 for completing enough trash. I got 2 pieces of loot, so every other chest I would get something, which is pretty cool. I like that. I like the odds, 50%. As I said, there's an incentive of clearing the trash in the dungeons. You get a chest, like an additional chance of getting rewards later on, and while leveling, you have to actually clear the trash. There's an objective, there's a bar that fills up to 100%. Once you get that one filled, you get the EXP for the run. That's why you had to kill trash while leveling. But killing trash is kind of chill because they don't drop anything. And usually people are like, the more loot the better, obviously. However, in dungeons, I think it's kind of a time waste if every enemy drops like trash materials that you will just sell to the vendor anyway. So I kind of like it. Let's very, very briefly talk about the shop. It is vanity only. It's just fashion, like just how they said. There's no plot twist, there's no hidden anything. But I shouldn't say just fashion, because the fashion is very, very good looking. I spent like an hour picking my first outfit, and I just like it. It looks so good. Like, once I'm able to showcase in-game footage, yeah, I'll show. But damn, actually kind of impressed. Let's talk about some pros and cons. I'll talk about the cons first so that I'm able to leave you with the pros. The first con is basically one of the reasons they didn't want the alpha to be public or invited as many players, because the language is still kind of an issue. There's still a lot of Chinese, some of my skills, some of my talents are not translated yet, so I can't really have a finished build without really knowing what some of my skills are doing. And the other skills that are translated using kind of broken-ish English, where they translated the same skill in two different ways. So if they refer to one another, it's kind of hard to tell, is that the skill or is it the other one? So stuff like that will be fixed though. The alpha build we are currently playing on will be 1 month older than the beta build that you guys will get to experience. And within a month, stuff like that will change 100%. Not gonna say that every single thing 100% entirely will be fixed. There might be still something slipping through, but it should be very much improved from what we have currently. Let's talk about optimization. So, when playing by myself on ultra graphics, no lag, 60 FPS, perfect, everything good. When we grouped up for the dungeon, 5 players, mowing down loads of enemies with AoE skills en masse, 3 spell swords master race by the way, I did drop down to 30 FPS. The boss fights were cool, but just those big trash pulls caused issues for me. With that being said, I was recording at the same time, high graphics, I didn't do, oh sorry for the mic slip, I didn't do any optimization. I will try to do optimizations, do another dungeon run sometime soon and let you guys know if it's better or not, but I hope it is. 30 FPS is still manageable, and as I said, boss fights are almost unaffected by it, but it's kind of meh, you know. Talk about the pros though, very quickly. Good guidance and the tutorials are on point. As I said earlier, the quest indicators are very good. Once you get max level, you will unlock a tutorial for every piece of content there is, where you will have to play through it once, that it kind of explains you how it works and everything, so there should not be many issues regarding understanding the different contents. The leveling process doesn't take too long. I hate leveling. I really do, but it was manageable. And it will be manageable in this game, which is cool. And the last pro, I want to mention it real fast, is the combat. So when I was doing story playing by myself, I thought the combat to be very easy and straightforward and kind of, I almost wanted to say boring at one time. But once grouping up, once the action is happening in dungeons, in trash pulls, in boss fights, it's rather demanding, which I think is very cool. To have something that's kind of easy to execute or easy to understand, be hard to execute later on, I really love it. It's not Vindictus style, like if you're coming from Vindictus, it's much more, I think it's the closest to like Guild Wars combat. I haven't played Guild Wars in a while, but that's what I remember Guild Wars being like. It's a bit more dynamic and action based than World of Warcraft, but as I said, not quite Vindictus. But however, I noticed the game. I always say the game. In all of my attempts, I said the game instead of the video. I noticed my video already getting way too long. Again, sorry for that. If you don't know me yet, I tend to do videos that are 15 to 20 minutes long. Really sorry. I'll try my best next time. For now though, that's all I had to say. Thank you so much for watching through it if you did. And I can't wait to play with you guys once beta starts. And I wish you the best of luck to actually get into the beta to get a key. I might do giveaways if I'm lucky enough to get my hands on some keys, but I'll keep you updated on that. So for today, I'm out and I see you. Bye guys!